I did think about giving you just a list of my top picks in the forthcoming AliExpress Summer Sale. But where's the fun in showcasing a few watches that you'll no doubt see on much bigger channels this week? So let's do something different. Here's 10 genuinely interesting watches that probably aren't on your radar, but probably should be. Now, I'm not pretending to know much about AliExpress brand Borman. I've never even held one. But judging by their catalogue, they've clearly shown up to the party dressed like they belong in the VIP section. It's all higher end looking hitters, no cartoon mascots or novelty dials in sight. And this particular piece looks, at first glance, like a pretty safe bet. Take the PRX blueprint and ride the steadily declining wave of hype that model's been coasting for years. But dig just a little deeper and there's something genuinely compelling here. Yes, visually, it's very PRX adjacent, but the dial adds a sort of Germanic sharpness, more technical than trendy. The branding is surprisingly minimal, and the typography walks that fine line between clean and characterful, even if the faux German is a bit cheesy. But the most interesting twist? That bezel. It looks like someone at Borman quietly borrowed it from a Vacheron 222 while no one was looking. And it elevates the whole thing beyond your usual homage fare. Specs are as expected. 40mm brushed stainless steel case, sapphire crystal, integrated brushed steel bracelet with a butterfly clasp, and a very PRX-ish 50 metres water resistance. But it's what's inside that makes it worth a second look. The Miyota 9015 movement, meaning a thin 10mm case, smooth high beat sweep, and a nicely balanced 6 o'clock date window. None of that 3 o'clock calendar nonsense here. Coming in at around £150 before discounts, if the fit and finish live up to the press shots, you can make a strong argument that this isn't just an alternative to the automatic PRX. It might actually be a better watch, at less than quarter of the price. Willie Merck are quickly becoming one of my favourite AliExpress brands. While everyone else is still busy belting out uninspired Rolex karaoke, these lot are doing their own thing, and remarkably, doing it well. Lately, it's been banger after banger, and the WM217 looks like it might just keep that streak alive. What you're getting is a 40mm brushed stainless steel case with satisfyingly thick polished chamfers down the sides, a 46.5mm lug-to-lug, and a slim-ish 11.7mm profile. The oyster-style bracelet gets the same chamfer treatment, tying the whole design together nicely. And there's even an on-the-fly adjustment clasp, because why not throw in a little practicality with the polish? Powering it is the trusty NH35 with date window at 6, loomed indices and hands, sapphire crystal with AR coating, and a respectable 100 metres water resistance. All very sensible, all very usable. But let's not pretend the dial isn't the main event here. Natural meteorite in 2 colour options, and properly stunning. It's the kind of thing that makes you double check the price tag and then triple check the spelling on the brand name. Now, I'm not a fan of the phrase Garda watch, but if one Chinese watch actually earns that label without irony, it might just be this one. As for the price, £250 before discounts. A year ago, that would have been a luxury tier on AliExpress. Now, it's just Tuesday. Still, with what you're getting, it feels like fair value. Here's hoping for a cheeky coupon or two to take the edge off. Now, I'm not a Rolex fanboy, but if there's one Rolex I actually want in the collection, it's the 34mm 14000 Air King, the weird little poverty spec Rolex icon that accidentally became cool. So when Thorn dropped their take on it, I was buzzing. I've been begging for it for ages, fully resigned to the fact that no one else wanted a homage to what is, let's be honest, a slightly awkward, odd one out in Rolex history. And Thorn didn't mess about. 34mm stainless steel case, 40.7mm lug-to-lug, 12mm thick, sapphire crystal, 100 metres water resistance, and a high-beat PT5000 movement. It's got the specs, it's got the proportions, and with a choice of polished or that beautifully fussy engine-turned bezel, it's dangerously close to perfect. So why haven't I hit buy? Because they've only released it in Roman numeral dial with a date window guise, which to me screams of a banker that dreams of working for Goldman Sachs while selling payday loans to your nan. What I really want is the Salmon Explorer dial. Clean, confident and slightly smug. Do I hold out, or do I accept beggars can't be choosers? At under £145 before coupons, it's tempting. Hestur, a relatively new name to the AliExpress watch jungle, and already churning out greatest hits like they're trying to win a Homage Grammy. Dive watches, a genuinely compelling solar chrono, and now a 1940s Rolex Bubbleback tribute. Yes, one we've all seen before, but this time it's actually interesting. What you're getting is a charming little slice of vintage in either full stainless steel or two-tone, complete with a kind of dial that looks like it's lived through at least one war. Black, cream, blue or chocolate, warm, nostalgic and not trying too hard to convince you it's genuine. But it's the specs that steal the show. 36mm case with a 46mm lug-to-lug, a delightfully high-domed mineral crystal that looks like it warps colours like a Salvador Dali painting, 100 metres water resistance, C3 superluminova on the Roman numerals and hands, and a leather strap that promises charm but possibly with the lifespan of a fruit fly. Still with me? Good, because here's the twist. A PT5000 movement for just £115 before discounts, not bad at all. But if you're the sort who hears Chinese movement and starts to itch, how about a full-fat Swiss SW200 version for £180? Personally, I'd go for the cheaper one. But if that tiny Swiss-made heart transplant matters to you, I doubt you'll find a Solita-powered anything cheaper without involving a trench coat and a dark alley. I don't mind a good homage. Who doesn't enjoy a cheeky nod now and then? But a straight carbon copy of a current model, I need something, anything to suggest a designer stayed awake during the meeting. And that's exactly where veteran, mid-range brand Specht and Söhne seem to have struck a nice balance with their Royal Oak-inspired release. It keeps all the Royal Oak DNA, integrated bracelet, Genta-style octagonal bezel, that perfect blend of sporty and dressy that gets watch nerds a bit misty-eyed. But look a little closer, and it's clear this isn't just another tribute band playing the greatest hits. For starters, the bezel's hex screws have been swapped out for 15-minute markers in dial-matching colours. A small but bold tweak. And instead of the familiar tapestry dial, they've gone with vertical striping, enough to say, yes, we've seen a Royal Oak, but we've got ideas too. Specs are exactly what you'd expect in the AliExpress mid-range bracket. 40mm stainless steel case, 11mm thick, sapphire crystal, screw-down crown and case back, though I'm slightly bemused by the claimed 50 metres water resistance. You also get the choice of a bracelet or rubber strap, depending on your taste for steel or stretch. Inside, the Miyota 8215. Nothing to write home about, but it's reliable, easily serviced, and helps keep the price down to a very reasonable £82 before discounts. All in all, it's not revolutionary, but it is a smartly executed homage with just enough personality to feel like something more. Guilberlin, estimated brand number 3227 from the Merca multiverse. This one's been floated around for a while, but somehow never got the full love from the community, and honestly, I don't know why not. Yes, the branding is textbook, take two vaguely European words, mash them together and hope for the best. But in a world of dagger axes, Guilberlin isn't all that offensive. At least it sounds slightly like a watch brand and not an antiperspirant spray. What you do get is a charming little slice of faux vintage, a hand-wound ST17 movement that will actually feel vintage and wholly appropriate. Syringe hands, small seconds at 6 and a lovely domed mineral crystal. It's available on a bracelet or leather, but come on, it has leather strap written all over it. And at £83 before coupons start flying about, it's a fun little piece and honestly, it should be a great conversation starter. Mainly when someone asks what the hell a Guilberlin is. Quick pause for some shameless promotion. I'm giving away this Acton Adventurer watch. If you haven't entered yet, click the link in the description for all the details. It's free, so you've got no excuse. But don't go just yet, I'll remind you again at the end. Now, back to the video. What do you get if you cross a Rolex Submariner with a Zenith Pilot and top it off with a slightly odd brand name that doesn't quite make sense? Sounds like a setup to a cheap joke, right? Well, the Gramontre Diver Meets Pilots watch is here, and it's not laughing. You've probably seen this one knocking about, but it's never quite taken off. And honestly, I think there's just one thing holding it back. The name. It's not offensive, just awkward. Like someone trying to sound Swiss while sneezing. But if you look past the dial, what you've got is actually a compelling, characterful diver. Yes, it leans into homage territory, but it still manages to bring its own voice to the table. With a 40mm stainless steel case, 45mm lug-to-lug, sapphire crystal, BGW9 lume, NH38 movement, and a solid 200 metres water resistance, the specs more than hold their own. It's available on a rubber strap for just under £95 or an oyster-style bracelet for £125. Personally, I think the style works best with rubber, and for 30 quid less, that's an easy win. Still put off by the name? Gramontre do offer a sterile dial version, but me, I'll take a weird name over a blank stare into the void any day. This one's not my usual thing. A big, macho, modern field watch with military vibes and absolutely no interest in looking refined. No faux gilt, no vintage pretense, no nonsense, and yet I keep finding myself coming back for another look. Carbon fibre also isn't my usual cup of tea. I grew up in the late 90s, where every boy racer was duct taping fake carbon to their 1.1 litre Fiat Seicento like it was a Formula 1 car. So the materials always felt a bit Halford's clearance bin to me. That said, it is still a premium material, and seeing it used properly in a watch that actually suits it, on AliExpress no less, is enough to raise an eyebrow. The chronologer doesn't reinvent the wheel spec-wise. It's a chunky 43mm carbon fibre case, but with stubby, near non-existent lugs, so it might actually wear smaller than it sounds. 13.4mm thick, hard-lex crystal, NH35 movement, loomed hands and markers, and 100 metres water resistance. The value here is clearly in the case construction, not some spec sheet wizardry. It comes in grey, gold, black, and my pick, the white. Paired with turquoise accents on the bezel and seconds hand, it properly pops without looking like a toy. And at under £150 before discounts, it's not exactly cheap, but compared to the markup luxury brands slap on anything with carbon fibre, it's hardly extortion either. The FOD racing chronograph first showed up about 5 years ago, made a bit of noise before fading away like TVR's quality control. But now, thanks to Merkur, it's back from the dead, reissued and ready to rev its tiny mechanical engine once more. But if you missed it first time around, here's the pitch. It's basically a Seagull 1963 dressed up like a 1970s racing chrono. A bit of cosplay, sure, but if the aesthetics hit you, it really hits you. Specs-wise, no surprises here, and that's not a complaint. You're getting a 38mm stainless steel case, 47mm lug-to-lug, 14mm thick with a domed sapphire crystal, Seagull ST1901 hand-wound chronograph movement, and 50 metres water resistance. Classic 1963 territory. It comes on a leather strap, which, if I'm honest, looks like it was made from leftover desk mat. First order of business, bin it, and throw on a nice chunky perforated racing strap. You'll thank yourself later. At £233 before discounts, it's definitely on the higher end of the 1963 scale, but considering it's from a manufacturer I actually trust, it might just be a think about it watch once the sale starts rolling in. Not a no, but not an instant yes either. Let's call it a maybe with potential. I love a wild watch. Outside of selling a kidney or remortgaging your nan's bungalow to buy an original Joker watch, they don't get much wilder than this slice of Comic Sans gothic lunacy from Merkur. Because honestly, who doesn't want a blue skull with googly eyes, bone hands, and a purple bat doing laps around the dial? What we've got here is Merkur finally swerving off the Homage motorway and into the strange, glorious wilderness of originality. And frankly, it's about time. In a market flooded with copycat designs, this feels like a small, unhinged revolution. Yes, it looks like something a comic book villain might wear on his day off, but don't let the cartoon chaos fool you. Underneath all that flair is a properly spec'd chronograph. You're getting a wearable 40mm brushed stainless steel case, a 47mm lug-to-lug, sapphire crystal, 50 metres water resistance, and the much-loved Seagull ST1901 manual wind mechanical chronograph ticking inside. Prices float between £280 and £300 before discounts, depending on whether you go for the bracelet or the strap. Not exactly bargain bin stuff, but come on, those googly eyes spin when you hit the chrono pusher. That's basically horological theatre for under 300 quid. Thanks for watching. Remember your coupon codes. Happy shopping. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.